Let's talk about most likely to boom or bust breach. Actually, Sully, you can go first since we just touched on this. I didn't even give my worst draft class today. I'll very quickly. I completely forgot mine. I was so busy trying to navigate the time. Browns, and
Ooh.
it's the Deshaun Watson factor. Like, I don't care what you say. Like, you only had a second and third round pick, and then you got to the sixth round. You're still paying the price for Deshaun Watson. It's like, if Watson's not good, he's only played 12 games. You have this just like you could add all these first round picks, and with this roster, you would have found a quarterback, I would think. But Sally, you sticking with the Falcons here is the most likely to boom on this
Yeah.
draft class.
Well, boom or bust. This is
Boom
it's
or
gonna,
bust, right?
it's
Yeah,
going
yeah,
to
yeah.
go either way here, and it's I won't go too long. It's everything that we just said, right? Like I think it's the right move to go after the quarterback when you're up that high, even though you have Kirk Cousins. But as we just talked about, this thing could blow up in their face where all of a sudden Kirk Cousins is totally healthy. And the one thing that's been holding them back in their hunt for a deep playoff run or a Lombardi is that key pass rusher on their defense, which they could have had at number 8. And if we get down this road and Michael Penix isn't the guy, well, then it was a waste of a first round pick. And, so it could go that way, or they could pass the baton off nicely and he's your franchise quarterback for years to come. So I think it's just a total swing. There's really no middle ground here.
Agreed.
Yeah,
I don't need to pile on the Falcons, but that's absolutely
No, I mean, yeah, like it's now the nice thing is like you might get to wait 2 years to find out if it's boom or bust. Where and they'll Penix, when they visit Penix in the retirement home and say, "Hey, buddy, great career for the Falcons. We're sorry you never attempted to pass."
And the other thing is, if you're the Falcons general manager, you just bought yourself a 2 or 3 year safety net because you're not going to see Penix for a couple of years. And if Cousins is average, you can keep letting him play for 1 or 2 years. And then year 3 of Penix is actually his first year on the field. And so
it's kind of an ingenious way to handle things where you just got you got a new head coach, in Raheem Morris that is beloved. You've got 2 years with Kirk Cousins where it'd be really surprising if Arthur Blank fired everybody after the first year. Maybe the second year, if the Kirk Cousins thing doesn't work out, and you got to cut him, and you're like, oh, whoa, 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 whoa. You're doing the Andre the Giant gift thing. You're like, oh, 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 Michael Penix right here. Let's see how that goes. Breach, who do you have as most likely to boom or bust?
My boom or bust draft team is the Minnesota Vikings. And like Solly's Falcons, I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that they took a quarterback with their first pick. And they traded up. So they gave up a little. They go up from 11 to 10 to get J.J. McCarthy. And then they turn around and trade up to get Dallas Turner. So you're really investing a lot into these 2 picks. And if they don't pan out, that's trouble, especially because you gambled. You let Kirk Cousins walk in free agency. You let Danielle Hunter walk in free agency. And you said, all right, these guys are going to replace them. And look, they're a lot cheaper, so that makes sense, but they have to at least produce at a certain level. They don't need to be Hall of Famers, but they need to be slightly above average during their rookie years and going forward over the next couple of years for this to pay off. And if they're not, you're in trouble. But look, J.J. McCarthy is going to be in a great situation. He has Justin Jefferson. He has Jordan Addison, Aaron Jones behind him at running back, TJ Hawkinson. I mean, they have a pretty loaded offense. And if all J.J. McCarthy has to do is be average, and I think this offense can be good. And if he's better than that, then they're going to be better. So this really feels like a boom or bust team.
Not to mention 2 really good, high quality starting tackles for them too. I mean, don't sleep on that as well for Minnesota. I'm with you. I think that this is a great situation. If you're Minnesota, you are praying that you turn into the 2024 version of the Houston Texans, where you drafted off a quarterback in the first round, you draft your defensive anchor in the first round, and they both go and vie for offensive and defensive rookie of the year. That's kind of what you're looking at. And I think that they're both in a pretty good position to do that type of an impact. You just mentioned it with J.J. McCarthy, the amount of weapons that he has around him. I thought it was the number 1 landing spot for any quarterback in this class, the Minnesota Vikings, considering all that they have, and Kevin O'Connell, an offensive mind. But even if you flip it on the other side, I know we're going to be talking defensive rookie of the year later, but just real quickly, if you're talking about Dallas Turner, like you're in a Brian Flores blitz happy type of defense. Like you have this opportunity here for both of those players to flash.
And what makes it interesting too with the Vikings is they have a first round pick and 2 fifth-round picks next year. That's all they have. So Kwesi was the GM was slinging it around. And when you talk about boom or bust, if JJ McCarthy stinks and Sam Darnold's not any good. If Sam Darnold has to play, you really have a problem on your hands anyway. It means J.J. McCarthy couldn't win, got hurt, something, couldn't, didn't play well enough, and you had to bench him. And I'm just saying, if you come into next year and the team misses the playoffs and goes 7-10, and I think there'll be the NFC North, by the way, is fascinating. I mean, it looks like a loaded division. It could be the best division in football. But it's like if the team stinks and you come in and you have 3 draft picks next year, you're just going to have some questions to be asked that makes the boom bust factor even bigger. I'll go with the New England Patriots. And Sully, I mean, look, you got a rookie quarterback in Drake May. He has a ton of upside. He also, the guy never beat NC State in his career. All right, I don't know what to tell you. I'm pretty sure he went 0-4 against NC State and Clemson, or at least 0-3. He didn't play great against against good defenses. Excuse me. Did have a change in offensive coordinator. The Patriots have a lot of unknowns with the coaching staff, with the front office. I mean, Elliott Wolf is literally not even the full-time GM, and he's making all the picks. And then you also look at the Pats, and you trade back up and get Jalen Polk as the 10th wide receiver off the board, or the 11th. People are very excited about him out of Washington, but it probably a reach at 37th overall. They were they tried to get up to 32 and 33 and 34, I think, or maybe 32 and 33 to get Keon Coleman or Xavier Legette, and sort of had to settle a bit for Jalen Polk. You grab Javon Baker in the 4th round. I mean, here's the trivia for you. 5 years from now, who's the only player in the entire Patriots 2024 draft class who's a defender? Because there's only one of them. They took 7 offensive guys. And it's when you invest that much, it feels very clear that they're all right, we got to move past whatever we just had with Belichick and Joe Judge and Matt Patricia and Bill O'Brien and Mac Jones, and to make this, to really make this to reboot this whole thing. And if they're not good on offense, I just think the microscope gets even brighter.
So I've been a proponent that I wanted them to draft Drake May at number 3. I did not want them to trade out of that pick. I like that they did that. Now, saying that, I do worry, if you were a follower of the New England Patriots, that they are doing an overcorrection.
Yes.
Mac Jones was the SEC perfect situation, had a ton of talent around him, but his weapon was his mind. It didn't have to be, this otherworldly type of skill set. The ceiling wasn't particularly high, but the floor was really high. And so you're like, okay, that's fine. Didn't work out for a myriad of different reasons. Joe Judge, Matt Patricia. And now you're going into this draft and you are so much buying the ceiling of what Drake May could be, because we talk about him saying, could he be Justin Herbert? Could he be Josh Allen? You see the potential of what it could be, but also that floor now is awfully low. Footwork is an issue with him at school. You mentioned he wasn't beating top tier competition. I mean, the dude was in the ACC. It's not like he was, somewhere in the SEC, ripping it up. It's a different type of player. And so I do wonder and do worry, are they overcorrecting Mac Jones by selecting Drake May? I think that's a valid concern.
And the one thing I'll say about the Patriots, I thought it was fascinating that they took 2 quarterbacks, the first team to take 2 quarterbacks in the first 6 rounds since 2012, when Washington took RG3 and
Kirk Cousins. Yeah. And by the way, isn't it kind of crazy that Kirk Cousins it's Kirk, you were this guy for RG3.
I know.
You were this guy.
And for that to happen in the same draft, so that his name kind of pops up again on top of what happened in the first round. And then the other interesting part here is that, and this might be my favorite tidbit from the Patriots draft, is that the Mac Jones trade essentially turned into Mac Jones for Joe Milton, because it was Mac Jones for the 193rd overall pick. That's what New England got from Jacksonville. And then the Patriots used the 193rd overall pick on Joe Milton. So it was we're going to trade away our quarterback, but we're going to draft another quarterback who's even more raw than Mac Jones. I mean, obviously it was end of the road with Mac Jones. They had to get rid of him. But to bring a 5th quarterback into the QB room, very interesting strategy by the Patriots. So definitely boom or bust team.
And I'll tell you this, you might not think that, Drake May and Joe Milton have much to do with each other. They just happen to be drafted by the same team. Both of them have big arms, and I think that's another interesting thing I'm talking about, overcorrection for Mac Jones. I think they're going to go away from the dink and the dunk and the death by a million paper cuts type of offense. They're going to start chucking it down the field. You could tell by the quarterbacks that they picked and the wide receivers that they picked. they're going to start changing their offense to throw it deep.